Management presentations, managing an investment bank process. This is lesson 6 of class 3. In this lesson, we'll review the best practices when facilitating a management presentation. Background. Following introductory calls, deal team members will gauge investor interest and encourage investors to learn more about the deal by meeting with the client's management team. These meetings are known as management presentations. In this section, the Warren Fox Group outlines the processes around the facilitation of management presentations. Management presentation basics. Interested investors. Once interested investors have had a chance to hear the initial pitch and review the virtual data room, they will likely want to hear the story directly from the management team during a management presentation. Format. Management presentations are typically 1 hour in length and include a presentation deck that closely resembles the sim. Preparation. The deal team members will coach the management team and rehearse the management presentation multiple times before the actual meeting. The client and the deal team will practice a word track and determine side assignments for management team members. Once an MP is scheduled, the bankers will curate additional materials to help the client better understand that specific investor. Additional key items. The management presentation could also include a live product demonstration. The product demo is a portion of the management presentation that allows the investor to view the product or the technology in real time. Pro tip. Sometimes the bankers advise against a live demo because it exposes the client too heavily to unknown. For example, unforeseen issues with technology. Instead, bankers advise clients to offer sandbox access in lieu of a live product demo. Client preparation for a management presentation. Once a management presentation is scheduled, the junior bankers will curate additional information for the client to review prior to the meeting with a specific investor. These materials include investor background decks and a summary analysis of the virtual data room. Investor background deck. Junior bankers will curate a short presentation deck, usually 3 or 4 slides, to cover high-level details on the potential investor and the individual attendees. Investor information. This is a 1-page tear sheet that summarizes the investor's operations, the investor's stock price or latest post-money valuation, past investments and acquisition history, and recent news on corporate initiatives or corporate contracts. Participant background information. Additional information on attendees that include current title, current job responsibilities, years of experience, past work experiences, and educational background. Providing information on the attendees helps the client identify decision makers and their backgrounds. This will help the client read the room and gauge the pace of the presentation. For example, if the client is a technology company and the investor attendees do not have a technical background, then the conversation will likely be tailored to business highlights and less focused on product demo. Pro tip. Knowing the attendee's background is helpful for the client to pick out commonalities with a potential investor that could open up a friendly sidebar conversation. Remember, character fit is almost as important as business fit, especially during M&A deals. Summary analysis of the VDR. Prior to the management presentation, the junior banker should provide the client with a detailed report of investor activity in the data room. In most cases, the VDR has functionality to pull reports on individual investors. These reports illustrate how the investor's activity in the data room, highlighting how many times an investor viewed a document or downloaded a document. This information helps the client gauge which subjects are most pertinent to that investor and helps anticipate which types of questions the investor is most likely to focus on. Scheduling and facilitating management presentations. The execution of a management presentation is dependent on the client's performance during the meeting. The bankers are managing the process, scheduling meetings, and facilitating interactions and next steps. Some additional junior bankers' responsibilities prior to and during the management presentation include emailing invitations, screen sharing presentation materials, recording notes, and facilitating follow-up conversations. Emailing invitations. When the investor agrees to a management presentation, the junior bankers need to obtain a list of the attendees, coordinate schedules, and send around invites. The junior bankers will ask for a full list of attendees from the investor. The junior bankers will check schedules for all parties involved. This includes the client, the investor, and the senior bankers. Once a time is agreed upon, the banker will send around 2 calendar invites that parallel one another with the same meeting link. The reason for the 2 separate calendar invites is to keep the investor's contact information separate from the client's contact information. Screen sharing presentation materials. The client and the bankers will practice the presentation and conduct dry runs. During these practice rounds, the client and the bankers will determine certain logistical items, such as who will be screen sharing during the presentation. Sometimes clients prefer to screen share, while others prefer the bankers to do so. If the client wants the bank to screen share, it is the responsibility of the junior bankers to page flip the presentation deck. Recording notes. The junior bankers will be taking notes throughout the entire conversation, recording the client's word track and any interactions throughout the presentation. There is high priority placed on recording investor questions and client answers. The bankers need to be aware of how the clients answer certain questions so that the bank can answer the question in the same manner to ensure consistent messaging to the marketplace. Facilitating follow-up conversations. The junior bankers will be tasked with facilitating any follow-up meetings and providing any follow-up diligence items. Usually the most immediate next step is providing the investor with the bid instruction letter, if not already provided. The investor could also request a follow-up product demo meeting to allow the investor's product team to get a better feel for the product or the technology. If the investor decides to pass, it is important for the bankers to immediately remove the investor's access from the data room. This concludes our course. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you at our next course, which is titled Deal Execution and Book Building.